Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about a name that, chances are, you've seen stamped on your bike 1,000 times, but maybe never really thought about. We're talking about Shimano, the quiet, unseen giant that has completely shaped the way the entire world rides.
So, let's just start with a question. Think about your bike, or any bike you see on the street. What's the one thing that connects the vast majority of them? Well, the answer points to a single company's incredible, almost invisible control over the cycling world. And this quote, man, it just nails it. You know, like Intel inside a computer, Shimano is that for bikes. They provide the critical, high-performance heart of the machine, the gears, the brakes, the very soul of millions and millions of bicycles. So how did this powerhouse get built? You might picture some high-tech lab, but that's not it at all. This is a story of incredible precision, yes, but also of grit and persistence. And it all started over a century ago in a tiny, tiny workshop. Let's get into it.
All right, but before we rewind the clock, let's just take a second to really understand the sheer scale of Shimano's influence today. It's a level of market control that is, well, it's pretty staggering. And get this, that number, that 70 to 80%, that isn't just for the pros battling it out in the Tour de France. Nope. That dominance in high-end gears and brakes trickles all the way down to the mid-range bike you might have sitting in your garage right now. From weekend warriors to Olympic champions, pretty much everyone is riding on Shimano tech. Okay, so how did it all begin? For that story, we need to travel back to the industrial city of Osaka, Japan, all the way back to 1921.
You know, the company was basically born from pure determination. The founder, Shozaburo Shimano, had to leave school early because of poverty, but he just dedicated himself to mastering precision metalworking. So at just 26 years old, he rented this tiny space, borrowed a single machine, and started Shimano Ironworks. It's a classic startup story, just from a century ago.
So you can really see the game plan taking shape over these early decades. It all started by obsessively perfecting one single crucial component, the bicycle freewheel. And from that solid foundation, it was just this story of methodical, careful growth, breaking into the US market, then diversifying into a totally new industry, and eventually becoming the public giant it is today.
Okay, this is where it gets really cool, because the real secret sauce to Shimano's success has been its relentless drive to solve problems for cyclists with what can only be described as game-changing technology.
You know, before 1984, changing gears was, well, it was kind of an art form. You had to feel for the gear, and a lot of the time you'd miss it. Shimano made it a science. With their index system, SIS, every single click of the lever meant a perfect, precise gear change. It was a revolution in confidence and control for every rider.
And this just shows you how focused they were on the total experience. For mountain bikers, those old toe cages were a real pain. So in 1990, Shimano created the SPD pedal. It let you clip in for super efficient pedaling, but the cleat was recessed so you could still walk around easily. It was both high performance and incredibly practical, a total game changer.
And this constant evolution is the key to their whole story. They went from perfecting that mechanical click of SIS to introducing lightning-fast electronic D2 shifting in 2009. And now they're even creating intelligent systems that can shift gears for you automatically, even when you're not pedaling. It's incredible.
But here's the twist in the story, something you might not know. Shimano's mastery of precision gears and mechanics goes way beyond the bike path and out onto the open water.
I mean, just look at this. While cycling is obviously the heart of the company, almost a quarter of their massive business comes from fishing tackle. It's a huge and hugely successful part of their identity that most cyclists never even see.
And it's genius, really. They just took what they were amazing at and applied it elsewhere. I mean, think about it. Creating durable, high-precision gears that can handle the elements on a bike, well, that's the exact same challenge as creating a world-class fishing reel that can survive saltwater and fight a giant fish. They use that same thinking for advanced systems for Olympic rowers, and now they're a huge player in creating the motors that power the e-bike revolution.
Okay, let's fast forward to right now and take a look at the challenges and the opportunities that are shaping Shimano's future as it pedals into its second century of business. So the cycling industry has been on a truly wild ride. You had this massive sales boom during the pandemic when everyone was buying a bike, peaking there in 2021. But that was followed by a big market correction, as the whole industry suddenly found itself with a huge surplus of inventory. And this brings us to what Shimano is up against right now.
First, there's that market slowdown. All that extra inventory means fewer new orders from bike brands. Second, the e-bike market is exploding, and that's attracting some fierce new competition. And finally, like pretty much every global manufacturer, they're constantly dealing with fragile supply chains where one little disruption can mess up everything.
And that really brings us to the crucial question facing this unseen giant. For 100 years, Shimano has defined how we ride, all through relentless innovation. But now, as the very definition of a bicycle is changing before our eyes, we're left to wonder, how will this legendary company adapt, and will it once again reshape the way we all move?